Ageism in advertising. We've talked about it a lot here at ZoomerMedia. Is it real? Does it exist? This is going to be a real eye-opener because we're going to meet a company that's very innovative in how they approach this topic. Hello, I'm David Kravitz, Vice President of ZoomerU, and I'm joined today by two people who I think you're going to want to hear everything they have to say. We welcome Yvonne Ziomecki, Executive Vice President of Marketing for Home Equity Bank, Kevin Keane, founder and CEO of BrainSights, a research company that actually scans people's brains as they process advertising, and the conclusions they've come to are going to be, I promise you, a real eye-opener. So let's start with the home equity, how this originated. Tell me a little bit about Home Equity Bank. I know you service this market specifically, and I think it starts with some focus groups, some fairly conventional research to try to produce some brand spots. Let's start there, and then we'll walk through the process and get to all the scientific stuff in a moment.
Of course. So Home Equity Bank, just for context, we've been around as a company for over 30 years. Started in Vancouver in 1986. We were a provider of reverse mortgages, chip reverse mortgage, mostly known for. And our clients are 55 and older or 55 and better. So we are in a unique position to understand this demographic, have been dealing with this demographic for over 30 years. Last year, in 2018, we decided to launch some new brand advertising because there are a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings about reverse mortgages, and we wanted to start with a fresh message. We worked with a terrific agency called Zulu. Did a lot of focus groups with our demographic. So, you know, people 55 to 65, 65, 75, and so on. And it was very insightful. We heard a lot of interesting things. One of them is they absolutely hate, regardless of age, being called seniors. That word, it's a dirty word for them because they don't see themselves as seniors, because that implies certain things. It implies that they're less able, that they're slower, that you know, they're not as active or as smart. So we took the insights from the research with Zulu and with these customers and worked with Zulu to create new ads. And we created 3 new spots that have been incredibly well received in the marketplace.
And those spots reflected the insights you had learned in the focus groups, plus your own and Zulu's own creative judgments and talents.
Yes.
And let's look at those. We're going to look at those 3 spots right now.
Oh, honey, it's Doris's house. She is getting up there. She's got to be ready to sell.
We wouldn't have to do a thing.
Yeah, we'd have so much more space.
Yeah, Doris is still pretty spry. She's not going anywhere. So get off her lawn.
Yeah, I don't think she's ready to sell.
No.
Retire in the home you love with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank.
Here comes that agent, Terry with an I. Probably gonna ask if we're ready to sell again.
I got this.
Can I try?
Retire in the home you love with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank.
Mom, Dad, you ever think about downsizing? Maybe moving into a condo?
You guys live in a condo.
Yeah, we love it.
Why don't we just move in with you?
It's a great idea.
It's only 1 bedroom.
Gary and your dad can spend Saturday nights making models.
Saturday, I play hockey with the guys.
Not anymore.
Retire in the home you love with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank.
To me, as an ex-ad man, these seem not only you know, very well done and funny, but frankly a little bit gutsy to portray people like that, because that's not what you expect. They're actually making jokes at the expense of the younger generations. We have the couple walking by the street waiting for her to move out, and she's not moving. We have the realtor dodging. They turn on the sprinkler, and then it's so good that the wife, I think, wants to have a shot at the sprinklers at the end. That could have been seen as yikes, do we really want to go this far? So how did that all come about?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because, I still chuckle every time I see them. I absolutely love them.
Also.
But we did have a lot of discussions before we finished the cuts. Are people going to be offended? Are people, are going to take it the wrong way? And I have to be honest with you, we've had some complaints because people think we're, pushing the buttons. But I think the beauty of them is in the insights and the empowerment piece. And I think, it goes back to, there's a stat about how many people age 55 and older work in advertising, and I think it's in low single digits. So it's not up to people like me to decide what this demographic will respond to. We needed to find a way to test it and kind of get the validation, because what I find funny, other people may not find funny by age. So we had a lot of chuckles. There were actually a lot more risque versions of the ads, so we kind of went middle of the road. But I think the success of them and the reaction is from, they're very real, and this is how people feel, and we, with help of Zulu, were able to get into those insights.
Now, I know you have some of your research that we're going to show a little later on, the statistics about to your point about young people in advertising and where the ads are coming from. And I think there is a stat we're going to have later from AARP. But you may not know this, that about 8 years ago, AARP did some research, very left brain opinion research, and they found that baby boomers feared death less than they feared moving into a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
I'm not surprised.
So the idea, and all these, I'm here, I'm in this house, I love this house, I'm not going anywhere. And by the way, I figured it all out, I don't need your help. Which, because the confidence of those people was also quite remarkable.
Well, we do research every year. 93% of people in our demographic say they want to age in place. So I think that 93%, that tells you everything you need to know. They don't want to go anywhere.
No. And there's a whole industry, and we promote this, frankly, at Zoomer a lot with other product categories, whether it's appliances or renovations or redecorating. Modifications. The kids have moved out. Oh, good, I got that bedroom now for my man cave or my ultimate sewing, repainting. So, yeah, we're into this very big. But I thought that the confidence you showed in letting those people do their thing was not only entertaining because of the humor, but it was actually quite accurate, because that does reflect that age group.
And it's courageous too, right?
Very, I said,
and in order,
it was very gutsy.
In order to address bias in marketing and bias in society, we need that courage. We need leaders to do that.
You need to shake things up, right? Because it was so easy. Honestly, going through the advertising process, we saw so many concepts, and so many of them were safe, and they were so good. They felt so good. They would have been just fine. And we kept saying, no, we need out of the box, because that's the only way to disrupt it and get noticed and get people to think about us differently. And I think that's what we have accomplished.
Certainly succeeded.
Yeah. So the spots that we saw show customers as, able, smart, in control, and kind of dispel some of the myths and stereotypes. So that worked really well for us. But we also have other advertising that we wanted to get a good read on. And it's really difficult to test TV commercials in the focus group environment, because people will tell you one thing when they really think something else. And then we got really lucky and learned about Kevin and his company Brainsights, where it's a little kind of futuristic, but you put metal helmets on people's heads, and then you can actually start to read the brain. So it's not what they tell you, but it's how their brain reacts. Partnered with Kevin and analyzed basically series of our commercials to understand how our customers were responding to them, or people in our demographic were responding.
Right. So let's look at, Kevin, why don't you step up now? You actually showed a lot of video, I think, to both baby boomers and older in one group, and then millennials and younger. I think you have your headset there. We could just show that to the camera. So you put that on. Explain how it works.
Sure. So this is a portable electroencephalogram. It's a brainwave reader. Think of it like a Fitbit for your head. Okay. It's got this little electrode right here. Pop it on like that. It's a little less, I think, cool than a metal helmet, but
Close enough.
but close enough. And this is taking a reading of brainwave activity in your head every 2 milliseconds. Okay, and that gets synced to the content that people are consuming.
Right.
Okay, so we presented over 100 different pieces of video content to the 300 people in our study, 50% of whom were 55 plus, and then 50% of whom were younger than 55. Right. We wanted to get a read on what people in home equity banks demographic are responding to versus a control group, those people that are outside of that target.
And you showed them commercials and more than just commercials, right? Movie
That's right.
trailers.
Absolutely. So we were showing a range of different content, news clips, movie trailers, home equity bank ads, even some competitive material that we were looking at.
Right.
Understanding, what themes, what tones, what narratives, storylines, visuals were people responding to, and what were they completely tuning out of. And there are 3 things primarily that we're measuring here. Okay, audience attention, emotional connection, and encoding to memory. So attention kind of does what it says on the tin. Am I tuned in or totally tuned out, and to what degree? Emotional connection, is there a deeper bond that's happening with the stimuli? Is it relevant to me? Is it resonating with me? And then encoding is encoding to memory. Am I going to remember this? Do I find it valuable enough to encode that to memory?
Okay, and big picture, because we'll get into some specifics in a minute.
Yeah.
What was the difference between how the 2 age groups processed information?
So we revealed 4 key insights for people to better understand the 55 plus audience. Okay, so the first one is, they respond to anti-old age stereotypes. Okay, some of the stuff that Yvonne was talking about in terms of some of the material surfaced in the focus groups, feeling empowered, clever, mischievous, fun, rather than what's typically characterized in the media as frail, hopeless, helpless, in need of being saved. So that's insight number 1, the anti-old age stereotype.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
If you want to think about it, think about the commercials for back pain. And people have difficulty leaning down and doing their laces, and then you put the cream on and all of a sudden they feel better. That does not work, because they don't want to see themselves as unable, frail, not capable of doing everyday things.
Right.
Yeah. Insight number 2 was around nostalgia, and nostalgia being an antidote to flux. Okay, so this is a period of change. It's a period, a bit of uncertainty, I think, in people's lives, where you might be pivoting from work life to retirement, and in that you may be having feelings of anxiety, or you may be having feelings of wanting to anchor to something that And so nostalgia in advertising, which is something that I think a lot of people associate with millennials because of Instagram filters, 1970s, that kind of thing, like vintage
Retro
rock
stuff,
T-shirts,
yeah.
that kind of stuff, right? But it works. It can work equally as well, though it has to be generation specific for the 55 plus group. So that was really interesting.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
each time,
I'm gonna
that's
add to that. So in our previous commercials, not what we're airing right now, we had Canadian skating legend Kurt Browning, and Kurt Browning was endorsing our product and talking about reverse mortgages.
Right.
It worked really, really well for us, and our audience related to it because they remember the 1984 Kurt Browning. They remember what happened at the
world champion, I
Olympics,
think.
4-time world champion, but he lost at the Olympics. And there is all this nostalgia and all this memory, and it makes them feel good. And he was the right partner for us at the time, exactly because of this insight.
Sure. Okay.
Insight number 3, selective parenthood memories. Okay, so what we mean by that is, the real tug on your heartstrings, like difficult parental memories, like the things that you might see in like sick kids ads, that kind of stuff, doesn't really resonate with that boomer audience. Okay, but when you look at, Yvonne mentioned the Kurt Browning ad where he's transferring knowledge to his kids. There's an element of legacy there. There's an intergenerational, like I want to leave the world a better place. That stuff does very much work. So it's about selective parenthood memories, sticking away from the difficult times and really focusing on like how I can improve subsequent generations, which I think is counterintuitive to some of the stuff that you might see in the media, to be perfectly honest with you, around how boomers are portrayed and how millennials are portrayed. There's a lot to be gained there, I think. And then the final one is about delivering information in digestible chunks, right? So ensuring that whatever the information that you're delivering is done so in a way that is easy to digest. So again, coming back to a Kurt Browning commercial, there was a 60-second spot that was really a condensed version of a 2-minute spot. Functionally the same information, but the 2-minute spot performed a lot better for the 55+ audience, and actually not that great for the under 55 audience. The 60-second spot performed a lot better for the under 55 audience. So that was just an example of something in terms of delivering in digestible chunks, and this is really a result of a natural, healthy, aging brain, and the need to be able to deliver that information in a way that's digestible.
Right. I have a host of questions, but let's just stop for 1 second and look at that actual Kurt Browning spot.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Kurt Browning. Home Equity Bank has asked me to talk to you about how a chip reverse mortgage can help retired Canadians because it will...
Because you're retired.
Oh, I'm not retired, no.
Because you're old.
So I'm not old. No, that's not why they asked me. It's because I understand how hard you've worked to achieve your dreams. And after all that hard work, maybe it's time for retirement. Your home has increased in value over the years. You could use that money to live on. But you don't want to sell the home that means so much to you. Well, the chip reverse mortgage, you don't have to.
If you're 55 or older and own your own home, you can turn up to 55% of its value into tax-free cash. You don't have to sell. You get to stay in your home, and there are no monthly payments.
I'm excited to be working with Home Equity Bank because
you're old and retired.
I'm not that old, not quite retired. Now, what I am is pleased to help spread the word about the chip reverse mortgage because it has helped thousands of Canadians start living the life they've always dreamed about.
The chip reverse mortgage was a smart financial decision for me. It's actually given me my life on my terms.
We were worried about what the future might hold for us. A chip reverse mortgage has definitely relieved our stress.
Call now to find out how much money you can get with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank. Call 1-866-417-2447. That's 1-866-417-2447.
I got a question for you. Well, can an old guy do that?
That was pretty cool.
That was good?
Yeah.
Unlock the value in your home with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank, a Canadian company, over 30 years in business. Call 1-866-417-2447 now.
Home Equity Bank has asked me to talk to you about how a chip reverse mortgage can help retired Canadians because it will...
Because you're retired.
Oh, I'm not retired, no.
Because you're old.
So I'm not old. No, that's not why they asked me. It's because I understand how hard you've worked to achieve your dreams. Your home has increased in value over the years. You could use that money to live on, but you don't want to sell the home that means so much to you. With the chip reverse mortgage, you don't have to.
If you're 55 or older and own your home, you can unlock up to 55% of its value into tax-free cash. Call 1-866-423-2447 for your free guide.
I got a question for you. Well, can an old guy do that?
That was pretty cool.
That was good?
Yeah.
Unlock the value in your home with a chip reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank, a Canadian company. Call 1-866-423-2447 now.
You now took those insights and you applied them to advertising you had already done. So it wasn't just, we nailed it in our focus groups, here's our award-winning commercials, which you would have been very entitled to because that alone was
Well, that's how we feel.
but that alone was pretty, showing some leadership here. You went a little bit further. And I think that for our audience watching, a really good example is a before and after of a commercial that I would have thought already exemplified some of the insights, certainly of your focus groups. Yeah. And then you modified it further. Let's take a look at the first commercial, that the before, if you will. We're going to look at it right now.
Perfect.
Meet the Smiths, Fred, Cindy, and their grown sons, James and Dave. It's a happy day today, but retirement won't be without its financial challenges. Fred wants to renovate the home. Cindy wants to spend more time traveling. The boys would like their parents to be able to stay in their home for as long as they want, and without financial worries. What if I told you there was a way all their wishes could come true? There is. It's called the CHIP Reverse Mortgage from Home Equity Bank. If one of them would just call 1-877-313-0297 for their free guide, they could learn all about it. If you're 55 or older and own your own home, you can get up to 55% of its value in tax-free cash. You still own the home, don't have to move, and no monthly mortgage payments are required. Call 1-877-313-0297 and find out how much money you can unlock from the value of your home today.
Okay, so if I look at the setup part, meet the family, it seems at first glance that there's no glaring errors to my eyes. I mean, what the dad wants to do, what the mom wants to do, what the kids want seem, again, left brain, logical. They don't seem offensive. But you dug a little deeper and got even more insights informed by what Kevin's group had done. So walk me through that process.
So the spot itself, we were very pleased with when it was first developed. It was based on other insights and kind of what we think. People like to involve family and so on. So we're very pleased. It's close to perfection, or so we thought. Then we do research with brains. Then Kevin comes in.
Then the machine.
And then we start reading people's brains. And one of the first things that happens is when you introduce the sons as decision makers, the brains are disconnecting. The older people are not responding well because they think they're able, they're capable, they know what they're doing. Why are their sons deciding if they stay in the home or don't stay in the home? So that was very interesting.
Very interesting.
So keep an eye out when we see the after commercial because there's a change in how we handle that. They're still in the picture, but they play very, very secondary role in the piece. The part that did extremely well is Cindy on her water skis. So keep an eye on that because we tried to replicate that magic in the new spot. We did a little bit more fun stuff. There is a sequence with the photo album where the pictures are flipping through. It was too fast, so Kevin talked about those 4 findings. It needs to be digestible chunks. That photo album is out of context. People just were very confused with what was going on. And then on the screen where we're showing the guide, again, we're showing the sons. The sons don't need to be there because they're playing a supporting role. They're not the decision makers. And what we learned from other spots is that when we talk about a free, no obligation guide, people respond really well because you're 55 plus, but our average client really is 72 years old, and they want to know nobody's going to trick them. They don't have to sign up for anything. There's absolutely no pressure. So we may take that for granted that of course we wouldn't do it, but they need to have it reinforced. They need the validation. So those would be. Do you agree? I think those were the biggest ones where we made changes.
Absolutely. So in a moment we're going to look at the revision, but I want to just comment that degree of depth is not usual.
No.
To say, look, we had a perfectly good spot. Because remember, the first one, I'm just giving you my opinion, it's animated. Nobody looks particularly old and frail. They're all sort of humanoid figures. It's light, it's whimsical, it's not insulting. The dad and mom don't look, over the hill. The boys don't look like they're, forcing anybody into anything. So it didn't seem that. But when you looked at how it tested in the brain machines, you found those things out and then you adjusted it. So now with that in mind, let's look at the spot you did after as a result of those insights.
Meet the Smiths, Fred, Cindy, and their sons. It's a happy day today, but retirement won't be without its financial challenges. Fred wants to renovate the home and work on his golf game. Cindy wants to spend more time traveling and being active. And together, they have so many more ideas. But can they afford the retirement of their dreams without selling the home they love? They can. The Smiths could access the value in their home with a CHIP reverse mortgage from Home Equity Bank without having to move or sell. And there are no monthly mortgage payments. If you're 55 or older and own your home, you can get up to 55% of its value in tax-free cash. You still own the home, don't have to move, and no monthly mortgage payments are required. Call now toll-free 1-877-480-2447 for a free no-obligation guide to the CHIP Reverse Mortgage. That's 1-877-480-CHIP. Call CHIP today to live retirement your way.
So the sons have gone. They were there at the retirement party.
They have no names. Yeah, exactly.
They're not even named, and they're at the retirement party, which is completely appropriate.
Cindy's
but,
boxing.
Yeah.
And you added boxing. I mean, that's just amazing.
Because older people are very active. You know, again, they're not just walking with a walking stick at the park. They're doing all kinds of things.
This is just a sidebar, but you'll get a kick out of it. There are over 5,000 people in Canada over the age of 70 playing on an ice hockey team.
Wow.
Again, I'm not surprised.
So it's, I'm not saying that they're going to make the leaps, but they're out there, so this is a tremendous, insight that you came up with. And presumably you're going to use this going forward.
Yes, so it started airing a couple of weeks ago. So we did research with Kevin late last year. We did some edits. It's been airing. It's doing really, really well for us. But we're never satisfied. So we're always thinking, so this is good. What else did we see? What else can we kind of go deeper in? Because we want to keep connecting with the demographic because that's where our clients are.
The biggest breakthrough for me in all of this, speaking as ZoomerMedia and ZoomerU, where we relate to a whole bunch of advertisers, is that the degree to which you've zeroed in on the segment you serve and really tried to understand them instead of imposing some preconception of, quote, senior, because now the cohort, we talked about this before, is so big. So your segment is they already own their own home. There's 1 million seniors in Canada that are poor, that are frail. But what's happening is, and I'm wondering if you would agree here, is that the market is now so large in the age group that it's not surprising to say, hey, there's a niche over here, there's a group over here, there's a group over here, there's a group over here. What would be routine in an ad agency among younger people, segmenting them in, zeroing in, and not treating them all as one big blob, now you might be playing a leading role in having that happen to the older market, so that you go blatantly, you go all in on who your group is. There are other people the same age that don't fit. Okay, fine, they get some other creative from some other product from some other company. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I think, so of course, we're Home Equity Bank, and of course we're about reverse mortgages, and that's very important to us. But I think what this tells people is, even people who don't have homes, the advertisers who are advertising to them about rental or what to buy or what they eat or where they travel, they need to apply the same lens, because if you want to make connection with the demographic, you need to keep those 4 things in mind that Kevin identified. Otherwise, it's going to be a miss, and they won't receive the message you're trying to send. Advertising is expensive, and people need to be very, very thoughtful and not alienate their audience.
So I've got a couple questions to wrap up with, but I want to take one little other break to cut away to show you some material we developed here, because you may wonder, and our audience may wonder, well, okay, this is fine if I've got this machine on my brain and you're sort of measuring my subconscious stuff. Does that actually translate into the marketplace with my behavior, with my conscious behavior? And we have conducted a number of focus groups here where we've asked people how you react to advertising you're seeing. Do you see yourself in the ad? Do you take revenge on companies that portray you bad? No, so when you consciously left brain go out into the marketplace, are you aware of this problem, or are you just accepting it as part of the environment? And I'm going to show some sort of shock cuts of what some of our audience have said to us, and we'll just look at those, and then we'll come back and wrap up. So we're just going to see a series of clips of our audience saying what they think about advertising today, and the shocking degree to which they validate what you've found. And I think it's shocking only because it says, hey, it does cross over into marketplace behavior. It's not just some elegant little thing when I wire up my brain. So let's take a look at those clips now.
It would be interesting to see how in our age group, they didn't classify us as these sort of old, stodgy, ready to die, wearing comfortable shoes, kind of people who only want to go on cruises, for example.
We're the ones spending the money, and we're the ones spending the money for all the little millennials.
I'm 70 and retired. I still have a lot of money to spend, and I don't think that the marketing people are paying attention to this.
Who is hiring these advertisers who are writing the messaging? And that's where it starts.
All you see or hear is about medical needs. Needs? I have no needs. I am 70 years old. I'm healthy. I feel like 40. I will be 100.
What they need to do is advertise the lifestyle that I want, not the lifestyle of somebody that's, death's doorstep. I'm certainly not there yet. I'd rather go buy a motorcycle than go buy some of these drugs they're talking about.
Every single, Adidas and ASIC, and they're all advertising people who are 20. There's a whole lot of people who are my age who are power walking, hiking, and I can drop $200 on hiking shoes like that. No one's reaching out to me with that kind of stuff.
Right. As you can see from those clips, what it validates is they all want to be seen as still capable, active, engaged. They were very hostile on a whole other segment to all the pharmaceutical commercials. One guy cited CNN, but you think all I need is medication. We had one woman who said, I'm 70, I'm going to live to 100, and I'm not sick. Yeah. So they are confident, they want to be seen the way you actually are portraying them, and I think that's what the breakthrough is, to have the guts to trust that that's happening in the marketplace. So let's just wrap up with some final thoughts on this. You must be very excited, and your company must be very excited by this research.
We love what we do. We love helping elder Canadians. We love working with them. And there's so much still misunderstanding about the product that for us to see how well the brand spots, the first three ones that we saw, how they've been received, and how they're kind of helping bridge the understanding of the product, and people are opening up. It's been incredible. And for me, for a marketer, to be able to work with Kevin and to be able to read the brain and understand how we can adjust advertising and marketing to educate people and give them options. At the end of the day, they get to decide what they want to do. It's incredibly empowering. And I think, lastly, I think the advertisers really need to think about or rethink what they're doing, because this demographic has all the money. It's not the millennials. Millennials don't have the money to spend on clothes, trips, furniture, all those sorts of things. It's this demographic. So finding a way to connect with them, I think, is a key to success for any company, not just us.
Wonderful. Final thoughts, Kevin? Where does it go from here?
Just to build on that, I think that there's an economic and a moral imperative to be telling these types of stories, right? To understand this demographic and audience segment as different, and to tell those stories that reflect who they are, who they aspire to be, both from the economic opportunity that we were just discussing, but also from a moral obligation to build an inclusive and representative society, which I think most people want.
Well, of course they do.
Exactly. So I think that this type of research, like for us, is incredibly exciting for Brain Size, because it gives us an opportunity to better understand that segment, but also to use this data for real good, and to empower marketers and the general public with information, with a set of tools that they can use to empathize and better communicate with what we feel to be a fairly underrepresented demographic in the media.
Very good. Well, we're certainly going to do our part to spread the word, and I thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
And by all means, we're going to keep in touch to see where this goes, because I expect we'll be back again talking about
part
this
two
in the future, for sure. To be continued.
To be continued.
Okay,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.